Hello, future people. Welcome to Getting Tabled. I'm Jason the Bruce, and be careful, the sky is falling. Broken Skies is from Traders Galaxy. This is the same gentleman that does Bot War that I've shown off a few times now. This is their new game. It's just arrived today and is arriving pretty much everywhere at this point. This particular box set has some Atlantican and some Democracy stuff in it. And it's all very much, it's the alt forms of the bots that we're familiar with from Bot War. I also do have some Deceiver alternative models, but I'll be showing them in another video. So, at this stage, it's time to get down onto the table and have a look at what's inside. Alright, so Broken Skies. Now, this particular piece of artwork I've seen before. I do really like this piece of artwork, though. It's very reminiscent of the cartoons from the 80s that inspires it. On the top, just the same logo. Now, there is a little bit of damage that's happened to mine in transit. That's thankfully not happened anywhere else. It just appears to be the box itself. This is one of the Deceiver planes. And on the other side, nothing. On the back, we get a bit of an idea of what comes on the inside. So this game works on a hex system. You might actually be surprised at the size of the mat. It's basically a coffee table game. That's one of the things that I really, really like about this. Obviously, you are getting your dice and your tokens, so these are going to be very useful. These are exactly the same dice as what you get in Bot War. So I'm actually very happy about that because I kind of needed some more dice. And otherwise, front of the rulebook is from exactly the same piece of artwork. Like, quite literally, it's this section of the artwork. Nice touch, because without actually looking at it side by side, you probably may not have even noticed that. Out of curiosity, there you go. Literally the same piece of artwork. It's scaled very slightly differently. I kind of like that, though. Not a criticism. I actually do genuinely like that. Mainly because it's a nice piece of art. But otherwise, I'm just going to skim through this. We will have a look at this in more depth at a later stage. So this is something from the Red Star Nations. That's definitely something that I want to get my hands. That looks amazing. Okay, and we have our factions. So we have the Democracy, Atlantica, so that's what's in the box. Coils is evil version of Democracy. Red Star Nations is very much robot dinosaurs and so forth. The Deceivers and the Valiants. Playing the game. So, this is what I was talking about earlier. This plays on a 50cm by 50cm board. So it's designed to be fun, quick, easy to play. I would hope that it would be fun because it wouldn't be very successful otherwise. A standard size of Broken Skies would use up to 40 points of models per side. So that's roughly, that's half of what a Bot War game is. And that kind of makes sense given the size of the board. Oh, that's a nice touch. I like that. This is something that we've lost in the hobby, is companies actually giving you some hobby tips. I like that. That's a nice touch. So what you will need to play Broken Skies. It comes with a 51cm square board. You get 15 dice, plus one regular d6. You've got 10 evasive maneuver counters. Broken Skies rulebook, which we're looking at the moment. Stat cards for your force, and the Broken Skies miniatures. And that's everything put together. Understanding the stat cards. So that's fairly straightforward. I do like the fact that it actually shows you both versions. That's a coil shipped from memory. I quite like that. An idea of how movement works. It's all fairly clear. Another deceiver over here. And some scenarios. Just the 2 scenarios at this stage. So as far as the rulebook's concerned, it is, I would say, it is rather simple. It's laid out quite nicely. The artwork's very nice. But yeah, no, it's a very simple. It's a very simple rulebook. I might have. I would have liked to have seen maybe another couple of scenarios. But this is just the first version, so I'm sure we'll get more as time goes on. And of course, the most important thing that every game should be doing: a quick reference guide. Doesn't have to be on the rulebook. I wouldn't mind if it comes as a separate piece of paper, but every game should be doing this, without exception. Looking at the board, like in all seriousness, there's not very many games that will only just fit. Like if I didn't have my Switch and everything in front of this would fit perfectly. Get a little bit closer. The artwork on this is actually really nice. Now, this is just a paper mat, so I would like to see some more higher quality mats done in the future. I'm very curious to see if people actually start making some of their own. This is the perfect size to be making your own stuff for this. Only thing I really want to know is the actual size of these hex grids. I might actually look that up shortly. But the detail on this is absolutely phenomenal. Like I said, I was curious to see how this mat was going to hold up, but the detail on this really works. Anthony, I'd be very, very curious to see if you're going to be doing some neoprene mats. Only criticism I will say is because of the way that it's been designed. I might suggest that this probably should have been folded again, just because of the way that it is in the box. You've now got a permanent crease here. So maybe the folding probably needed to have been done slightly differently. Maybe as a 3, so that it still remains flat. It means that you're going to have more creases, and I'm sure that I'll have people that'll disagree with me on this. It means that you'll have more creases, but I think most people will take more creases over the curling. Now, in saying that, this will flatten out. It's not actually that big of a deal. Alright, so I've been through the deck and I've actually sorted them all out into their factions because they were all just mixed together. Looking at the card themselves, it's a fairly thin stock, so you're going to want to be careful with these, especially if you're the sort of person that likes to look after their cards. It's not a problem, it's thin card stock. I would probably be recommending to go with your top loaders. Mainly because these are a fairly unique size. They're not a standard card size, so they won't fit inside your regular card sleeves. If you're someone that's familiar with Magic the Gathering or Dragon Ball Z or anything like that, like you'll see how that's not exactly loose. It's pretty much the perfect size. That's probably the way that I would go. I actually have these left over, so I'm actually definitely going to be doing this. So, we got the attack jet, messenger, drone chopper, Raven. Attack Chopper. We've got an AA emplacement, so that's anti-air for those not aware. We've got the Coil's Fortress. The Heavy Chopper. We've got 2 of that card. I don't know if we're supposed to have 2 of the card or not. And we've got the Nightbird. So that's the Coils. For the Democracy, we have Hatchet. Freedom Eagle. Firefly. Cadmia. Strike Force Jet. Missile Base. Airblade. That belongs with those. Air Defense. Conqueror Jet. Starfighter. Nighthawk. Sky Cycle. And the Freedom Eagle 2. Obviously, we just saw the Barracuda. Carmen. Barracuda 1. So I have a double of that. Forward Base. Manta. Barracuda 2. Barracuda 1. So I've actually got 3 of that, which is interesting. Stingray. Moray. It's a Moray. Hydro. AA battery. And that's the last one for the Atlanticans. And then we have the Deceivers. So we have Despair. Panic. Fear. Dread. Anger. Guilt. And Turbo. So, all in all, I do like the cards, but the one negative thing I do have to say, on the artwork front, it does seem to be a little bit busy on some of these. Not so much with the Atlantican ones. Like, all of that's very clear, because you've got the blue and the yellow and they stand off against each other. On the green, it's largely all blacks and greens. That's not so bad, but that's really hard to make out the detail. None of this is bad. I'm just giving criticism because that's what it's for. But the Deceivers more than anyone else. It's just, I don't know. Like, you can barely make out Panic at all. I mean, is this the important part? Well, no, obviously it's this, but you want to be able to look at your art, right? I don't know. I think if the colours are going to be matching, maybe the background should have been a little bit different. Just my thought. I have noticed it a couple of times on some of the Bot War cards too. But I do prefer the layout on this. That one's better because it actually stands out a little more. Bases wise, I know bases are kind of boring to a lot of people, but I do think this is important to look at because it's new. So we've got a hex base. This is all fairly straightforward. It's just acrylic. Rod goes in the bottom. It is very loose fitting. Like, insanely loose fitting. That probably needs to be tighter. I would argue. Just to give you an idea of how loose that is, that's too loose. Way too loose. Is there more than one size of rod? No, it's all the same. Yeah. That's a problem across the whole lot. I've just noticed this. So these are much thicker stock, which is nice. They're very nice. I like those. That's actually a nice touch. All right. I think this might be the Atlanticans, just judging by the colour. So, these are a plastic. These are the first plastics I've seen from Anthony personally. Not the first plastic minis that he's done. This is not your standard hard plastic. It's something else again. Detail seems fine. I know Anthony has said that he's not as happy with this plastic as he was with the resins. But I actually don't see any problems with it, honestly. Little bit of cleanup around here. I do like it. Like, the detail doesn't look that bad. I wouldn't want to test its flexibility, that's the thing. Because everything is very, very thin. That's probably the only thing I'd be concerned about here. Is I don't know how fragile this is going to be. The only concern I have. All right. So, with the Barracudas, this is just one of them. You do have a little tab here that needs to be removed. And once it's removed, that will slide into the back, into that gap there. These smaller guns actually come off this. And then they will stick to the side here. I'll show you a picture because I know it's not very clear under the camera. So that's the small guns glued to the side and the missiles on the top. My suggestion would be to paint this before you put it together. Because these look very delicate. Just to give you an idea of the size, and this, it looks very, very delicate. I would be very, very careful. So I've got two of that one. That's my third. I do love the fact that he's actually got a place in the mini for the rod. That is a very, very important touch. And that is a separate piece. That's actually quite easy to build. I would be recommending to put the front in first, then the back. And it actually goes in quite nicely. I'm not having any issue with any warping or anything yet, which was something I was curious about. Again, I don't know how strong that's going to be over time. It is a very thin piece. It looks very brittle. I don't know that it is. It just looks like it would be. These are the other version of the Barracudas. And again, they will come off and then stick to the side there. This one is probably, yeah, this is a little softer than the resins, this particular one. It is a little bit more obvious on this one than it was on the dark blue. Still not bad though. Like, in all honesty, it's not that, it's fine. Maybe not quite as premium feeling as the Bot War stuff. But that's not about, it's fine. I definitely prefer the resins. The resins are a nicer product. But that doesn't make these bad. I'm not sure which of the jets I prefer. I actually quite like both of them. I think I might prefer the one that doesn't make any sense. Because I know somebody out there is going, hey, those wings are backwards. And you know what? It doesn't matter. Rule of cool. And there we go with the mask type vehicles. That's quite a nice touch, actually having the wheels different so you can tell which one is which. Because otherwise they are going to kind of look the same-ish. They do have different weapons as well, but it just gives them a point of difference. Looks like I've got a little bit of a casting error here. The hole has not carried through on the mold like it has on all of the other ones. That's the only one where I've noticed that. I can fix that. All I got to do is take to it with a drill. Or in fact, I can probably clean it up with my knife. But I'm gonna clean that up with the drill, just because I would rather be safe than sorry. These parts, again, because they are very small, I'd be wanting to be careful with those because it does look rather brittle. Wings on these. That one's probably a little bit more to be concerned about because this one is actually thicker. And then finally, we have the dice. Now, I know people from Traders Galaxy will be familiar with their dice, but there will be people amongst you that are not familiar with this universe and their game. So, obviously you know what a D6 looks like. It's a D6. All very exciting. That was our maneuvers tokens. And so these are proprietary dice. So these are unique to the universe. That's your reds. So you've got 2 blanks, 2 ones, and 2 twos. On these, you have 1 blank, 1, 2 ones, 1, 2 twos, and 1 3. And on your critical dice, you will notice there are no blanks on this one. You have 1, 2 ones, 1, 2 twos, and 1, 2 threes. So if you have the opportunity to use black dice, you definitely want to. So, defense, regular attacks, criticals. So there we are with my unboxing of the Broken Skies game. I do need to acknowledge something at the end, because I do receive a pre-order bonus for ordering this early. That included the Deceiver cards, the Coils cards, as well as the blue miniatures that you saw. They will eventually be available separately, but at this stage they were a pre-order bonus for those that had pre-ordered the game. So, there we go. All in all, look, I am impressed with what I see here. The plastic miniatures are a little bit softer than the resins, but I don't think it's as exaggerated as Anthony made it out to be. They are still quite nice. The thing that stood out to me is I'd probably prefer to see an improvement in the bases. Like, they are a little bit too... They are too loose. Is it something you can work around? Yes. I don't intend on leaving mine clear anyway. I actually intend on doing mine up with some actual grit. So the actual grit and so forth will hold everything together. And I'll probably use a little bit of green stuff just to make sure it never comes apart. But if you're the sort of person that wants your stands to remain clear, it might be a little bit of point of contention for you. Just keep in mind that if you do use super glue on those clear acrylic rods, that you are going to get a frosting effect over them. I just mentioned that because not everybody is aware of that, especially people newer to the hobby. Broken Skies, honestly, at a first glance, looks really good. Obviously, I haven't played it at this stage. That won't be happening this week. I intend to pull this out next week, because we already have plans for Friday this week. But this will definitely be getting pulled out. And I will get back to you with an opinion on how the game plays the moment that I've had a chance to. Thank you very much for checking out this video. If you're enjoying the content of this channel, please like and subscribe. If you're in a position to do so, please check out patreon.com/gettingtabled. You receive early access to at least 80% of all videos that we put out, and you get access to the video edition of all of our podcasts the day that they're uploaded. If you'd like to check us out on social media, facebook.com/gettingtabled is the most active. We also have a Discord server. You can email our team at gettingtabled@gmail.com. If you're on either Twitter or Instagram, you can find us at gettingtabled. And until next time,